I'm like, you know what? I really need a dose of Disturbed. That's a go-to movie. My name's Mike. I am a horror fan, most prominent on Twitter/X. I'm from the Chicagoland area, not Chicago anymore, because as Chicagoans, we take pride in being from Chicago, and you have to have that zip code. I do prefer dark, bleak, uh, sometimes disturbing. The first movie to ever scare me would be It, because I was 5 years old, and Tim Curry as Pennywise was absolutely frightening. Obviously traumatizing for a child, so I wouldn't say I fell in love with horror at 5. My first full memory of a movie was Scream. We saw it at the Dollar Theater. I will sort of get into this because it's kind of an embarrassing story, but honestly, with a story like this, I just kind of got to tell it so that hopefully it reaches the director one day. Because, like, kudos to you for doing this. There is a movie, and it is one of my probably my top 10 favorite movies of all time now. It's called Horror in the High Desert. It plays off like an A&E documentary, really good story, like captivating lead, but you're watching it and not technically like nothing's really happening other than a great story being told. The last 15 minutes, which is probably the most terrifying 15 minutes, Horror in the High Desert had the most effective jump scare in my adult life. First of all, the sounds. Oh, the sound effects were just so eerie and they're setting the mood. I'm staring and I'm staring and something unexpected happened. My heart just jumped, and I immediately felt this sensation in my stomach. And I had to run, and thankfully, in my basement is less than 10 feet away, the bathroom. Had it not been there, something terrible would have happened. And that to me is the most effective jump scare of all time because it caused such a visceral reaction. They're both very dramatic. They are both very intense. You lose yourself in both of them. It's great storytelling. And it's campy, it's fun, it's never really that serious. There's not really casual wrestling fans, casual horror fans. Like, when you meet them, these people are gonna tell you the most obscure facts to anybody else, and you're like, yeah, I do remember what Macho Man Randy Savage was wearing at SummerSlam 19, yada yada yada. There's a movie called Capture Kill Release, and it is disturbing. It's got good gore, and it's still kind of comedic. And it's just a really good watch to see like toxic relationships from a different point of view. I love that movie. The Initiation, 80s movie, and it's basically this girl pledging a sorority. They go into a mall setting for horror is one of my favorites. And then things just go awry in the mall. That movie is in like my top 20 of all time, but at the same time, I'm like, that's not a rewatchable movie for me. But if I'm like, you know what, I really need a dose of Disturbed, that's a go-to movie. It's the rawness. The final cut is gritty. It's not refined. Even though you know it's a fake movie, for me, it'll take me in. It sucks me in, and for a little bit, I'm like, is this real? I have to do double checks, and I'm like on the internet, like, please make sure this wasn't real. This is not a snuff film. But found footage, it's just easier to immerse yourself into the story because it still feels believable. What I like about it is you might not have the best acting all the time, but the story is great. The scares are great. The sound is great. What I do love in found footage is when you have maybe not the most innovative story, but the acting is so good that you're like, see, this is what I'm talking about. This is good found footage. It's kind of like when you go thrift shopping, you're finding gems, you're finding cheaper stuff, and it may not be perfect, but it's got character. And that's the best part of low budget, micro budget movies is there is character to them. There is something you're gonna like. There's something for everybody. I find them the most charming, and in all honesty, I think some of my biggest scares come from some lower budget movies, found footage and not. The Blair Witch Project is one of my favorite movies of all time, Live Screamers. It is a sequel to Live Scream. It is Stay Alive, but in screen life found footage form. I'm a very emotional person, especially when it comes to horror. I am a person who you will find crying in the theater. That movie, Live Screamers, made me cry, made me laugh, made me mad. Immediately after it was over, I needed to watch it again. And the more that I think about it, I'm like, I think this is my favorite movie of all time. Post, it hit at the right time. We were still in isolation, and I'm watching a movie, a horror movie about isolation. Besides Horror in the High Desert, that also is one of the best scares that I've had in a very long time. Ganjiam Haunted Asylum, As Above, So Below, Incantation. It is scary. Like, it crawls underneath your skin. It made me feel so many different things, and it's another movie that's like, I need to rewatch this just so that I can get that, like, sense of fear again. Sometimes we are chasing that sensation. The Medium, which is another Asian mockumentary film that's terrifying to me. Milk and Cereal. That movie, I love that movie so much, obviously. I changed my whole name and handles to a parody of that name. I try to do at least three 24-hour marathons a year. Some of them I will live tweet. I found that it's a fun time, and some people enjoy it as well. Typically, every Friday the 13th, I watch every single Friday the 13th film until I'm done. In October, I will do a themed movie marathon. For my birthday month, I do the same thing. It's in January. Think of a theme, and I do a 24-hour marathon. Don't ever do marathons of new French extremity horror. Bad idea, bad idea, bad idea. Horror to me is uncomfortability. No matter what type of horror you're watching, it'll be about murder, it's about ghosts, it's about these topics that are not your norm topics. It pushes boundaries, but just that sense of this isn't right. I used to think it was something like just me, but I did start seeing that this is very common in so many horror fans. Horror helps me with my anxiety. Like, horror gives me anxiety as well, but then it goes away, along with real life anxiety. What gets under my personal skin is bugs. Bugs and parasites. I have dealt with a symptom of formication. I see bugs that aren't there, so that definitely triggers me. I just like will see them in the corner of my eye. I'll see them run across, and I know they're not there. Like 9 times out of 10, there is no bug. Once in a while, there actually is a bug, and then I'm like, okay, justified. I feel like watching them is helping a little bit. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes bad idea, bad idea, bad idea. But I like bug movies. Infested is one of my favorite movies of the year. Did I have a rough time watching it? Yes, I did. But it was really good and I liked it. The movie Bug from like 2006, and it's a different form of bug, but it's the same sensation that they're dealing with. It's kind of what I'm dealing with. So I think it's like kind of cathartic to watch some of those movies. I look at it and I'm like, this isn't real, and neither are the bugs that I see. Alien Romulus, Strange Darling, Long Pigs. It's found footage as well about two documentarians filming the daily life of a cannibal, The Bay. Most of the movies that you will hear me talk about are going to be found footage, so it was another found footage movie. But no, August had some banger movies. Want to do the content creation specifically regarding found footage because that is where I do feel I know a little bit more, so I can feel a little bit confident talking about it. Found footage to me is still kind of the stepchild of the horror community. I would like to see more people with a sole focus on found footage so that people like myself can watch reviews from people who care about it the same way. What I'm talking about is coming from someone who is passionate about the subject. But with that being said, I do want to take time to just watch movies. And I think that's where like the movie marathons really help because that's not content for me. That's all about the passion of the theme that I'm going through. Because, like, I'll do like all shark movies, all French movies. Well, no, I won't do that one ever again. Being a queer man of color, like, that's a huge part of who I am. So, finding those communities out there and people who may not be part of those marginalized communities, but they're definitely allies. Like everybody that I've met has a passion for horror, and we can talk about anything else, but like it'll always lead back to horror because that's just a huge part of who we are. I've met some really good friends. I got to meet up some awesome people at Horror Hound Weekend in Cincinnati, Ohio. The community is just so strong that they've become ingrained into my life already. So many of these people. I'm a huge fan of their work. They inspire me. Honestly, the only reason why I even have this like light in me to do horror content creation is because of this community who I hype them up because I believe in everything that the people that I hype up do. But to see them truly feel the same way and say, you need to do this, you should be doing this, and then giving me the avenue to practice, to try, to get myself out there. And then I get constant quality feedback and camaraderie and championing. And that's the only reason why I'm on things like this. The horror community has given me the confidence because I would have never done any of this. I would not have put my voice on a podcast. I hate my voice, and many people do. I struggle with insecurity and imposter syndrome so bad. I've just had these positive breakthroughs recently because I have people in my corner from the horror community. People who watch this who also love horror that want to have their voice heard, just do it in any capacity, even if it's just tweeting, even if it's just posting something on Instagram. Put yourself out there. People will want you on podcasts. They will want to interview or put you somewhere in the type of stuff that they do, or they'll even just give you advice. And so if that's something you want to do, just do it. It's what I'm doing right now.